friends, I welcome to you all in my YouTube channel. Today we are now going to discuss about the chapter motion of class 9 science syllabus. Actually this is the first lecture on motion. In our first lecture we are going to cover various topics. Out of these important topics are reference point or reference body, coordinate system, rest and motion, physical quantity and its different types, distance and displacement, difference between distance and displacement, and at last we will try to solve important numericals on distance and displacement. So let's start our discussion with reference point. Reference point. What is the definition of reference point? Reference point is a point with respect to which we can analyze the motion of a moving object, or we can say that reference point is such a point with respect to which we can identify the location of an object. It is a point with respect to which we can analyze the motion of any moving object. It can also be used to identify the location of any object. This reference point is also known as origin. Here we have to remember one thing, that the size of the reference point is very small. Size of the reference point is what? It is very small. Okay. Now what can be the example of a reference point? Any sand particle lying on the road can be treated as a reference point, because with respect to that sand particle you can analyze whether a car on the road is moving or it is at rest. Okay. Suppose this is the road and here we are considering the sand particle, and this sand particle is our reference point. Now if you assume a car parked on the roadside, what you can say, the separation between the sand particle, that is the reference point, and the car is not changing with time. That means we can draw the conclusion that the car is at rest. Now at the same time another car, say at the left side of the sand particle, another car is going to change its location with respect to time, and hence we can draw the conclusion that the car is in motion with respect to this sand particle. So in this way reference point plays a vital role to analyze whether the body is at rest or in motion. Now we are going to talk about reference body. Reference body is also equally useful just like reference point. Now the only difference between reference point and reference body is that the size of the reference point is very small, whereas the size of the reference body is huge. Now as for example, you can consider a tree, and with respect to this tree you are going to analyze the motion of a bus. In this case the tree will be treated as reference body. You can take another example. Suppose we are considering a building, tall building, that is situated at one side of the road. With respect to this building, you are going to analyze how far a car is located. If you are finding that the separation between the car and the building is not changing with time, then you can draw the conclusion that the car is at rest. But if you are finding that the separation between the car and the building is changing with time, then you can draw the conclusion that the car is in motion. Understood the difference between reference point and reference body? Okay. Now reference axis. What is reference axis? Any straight line passing through the reference point, that is the origin, will be known as reference axis. Suppose this is our origin. This is our what? Origin means reference point. If we consider a line, this line will be known as reference axis. Now we are going to talk about coordinate system. Actually, there are three types of coordinate system. First one is one dimensional coordinate system. One dimensional coordinate system. What is this? One dimensional coordinate system is composed of origin. Composed of what? Origin and one reference axis. Okay, this horizontal reference axis is occasionally known as x-axis. So what is the use of this one-dimensional coordinate system? So in order to explain this, we need to consider one ant, and we consider that A is the starting point of that ant. Now suppose the ant has shifted its location from point A to point B after time t. Now you have been asked, what will be the location of this ant after time t? You have to simply find this distance. And you have to tell that the ant is situated at a distance of AB from point A after time t. At a distance of AB means at point B on this line. Understood? So in this way, now what is the use of this one-dimensional coordinate system? In order to explain this, we are going to consider one example. Suppose one ant is situated at point A and it has shifted its position from point A to point B in time t along this straight path, and you have been asked to find what will be its location after time t. Now what will be your reply? Your reply should be the ant is at a distance of AB from the starting point A. So here is the usefulness of one-dimensional coordinate system. Now we are going to consider two-dimensional coordinate system. This two-dimensional coordinate system is a collection of origin and two reference axes that are considered mutually perpendicular to each other. Suppose this is the origin. This is what? This is the origin, and here is the horizontal reference axis known as x-axis, and another vertical reference axis we are considering at an angle of 90 degree to the horizontal axis, and this axis will be known as y-axis, and O is the origin. O is what? O is the origin. Now, how can we use this two-dimensional coordinate system? Again, we will consider the motion of the ant, but this time we will not consider that the ant is moving along a straight path. We will consider that the ant is moving on a plane. The ant is moving what? On a plane. Now, suppose this is the starting point of the ant. Starting point we have to consider as the origin, and it has shifted to point P after a certain time t. Now you have been asked what will be the location of this ant after this time t. So in this case, since the ant is moving on a plane and the plane is two-dimensional. Two-dimensional means in order to construct a plane we need two directions, its length and breadth. Now what we will do, we have to move up to a distance x along x-axis. After that we have to move parallel to y-axis so that we can reach the final point P. Suppose this distance is y, and this one is A. Okay, so what will be its location? It will be x comma y. It will be x comma y. Okay, so in this way we can use two-dimensional coordinate system to identify the location of any object moving on a plane. Now we are going to consider three-dimensional coordinate system. Three-dimensional coordinate system. In three-dimensional coordinate system, we will have one origin O along with three mutually perpendicular axes. Three mutually perpendicular axes. Suppose this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this one is z-axis. You have to remember one thing, that x and y are mutually perpendicular to each other. Y and z are also perpendicular, and at last z and x are also perpendicular to each other. Now, how can you use this three-dimensional coordinate system? Suppose one bird is flying in the sky, and you have been asked to identify the location of that bird at a particular time t during its motion. Suppose the bird is at P. Now, in this case, in order to identify the location of the bird, what you have to do? You are restricted to move either along the axis or parallel to any axis. Now, we will start our movement from the origin. Suppose we are to move along the x-axis up to this point. This point is A, and this distance OA is x. After that, we are to move parallel to y-axis up to point B, so that the point B is just below the point P. Okay, and suppose this distance AB is y, and from where we will get y? From here. We are going to consider one parallelogram. This AB will be this much. Okay, now at last we are to reach the point P. What we need to do? We are to move to point P parallel to z axis, and let this distance BP be z. Now what will be the coordinate of this point P, or what will be the location of the bird which is situated at point P at any time t? Its location will be x, comma this one y, comma this distance z. So in this way we can find out the location of any moving object in a space or in three-dimensional zone using three-dimensional coordinate system. Our next topic of discussion is rest. What will be its definition? If any object does not change its position, or you can say location, with respect to its surrounding and time, comma, that object will be known as at rest. What will be the example of rest? A car parked at a roadside will not change its separation with respect to a tree, and hence it can be considered at rest. Okay. Now we are going to explain the term motion.
Motion.
What will be its definition? If any object changes its location with respect to time and its surroundings will be known as in motion. Now, what can be the example of motion? Suppose this is the reference point and the reference point is denoted as O, and with respect to the reference point, the initial separation of a body, say it is S1 at time t1. After a certain time, suppose the separation between the reference point and that body becomes S2 at time t2. Since the separation between the reference point and the body is going to increase with the passage of time, we can say that the body is in motion. Now we are going to explain one very important point. Rest and motions are relative terms. This can be explained with the help of an example. We are going to consider a school bus within which two friends are sitting, B and C, and one of their friend is standing outside the bus. At time t1, the bus was here. Now it has shifted to a new position at a later time t2. When A tries to find the separation of friend C, what will be the result? S1. After time t2, what will be the separation between the same two friends A and C? It will be S1 dash. So as time increases from t1 to t2, the separation between A and C increases from S1 to S1 dash. That means friend C is in motion with respect to friend A, because friend C is going to change its location with respect to A towards right. So friend A will draw the conclusion that friend C is moving towards right. Friend C is in motion with respect to friend A towards right. Now we think about the separation between friend B and C. At time t1 it was S2, at time t2 it is again S2, because both are sitting at their own position. So we can draw the conclusion that since C is not going to change its location with respect to B, C is at rest with respect to B. Friend C is at rest with respect to friend B. Now if you look at these two statements, you can draw the conclusion that rest and motion both are relative terms. With respect to A, C is in motion, but with respect to B, C is at rest. That means rest and motion are not absolute, they are relative terms. Whether a body is at rest or in motion, it totally depends on the situation of the observer. If you consider friend A as the observer, with respect to this observer, friend C is in motion. If you consider that friend B is the observer, with respect to this observer, friend C is at rest. Now we are going to talk about physical quantity. What is a physical quantity? Anything that can be measured directly or indirectly is known as physical quantity. So you can write anything that can be measured directly or indirectly or is known as physical quantity. Example, you can write length can be measured, then mass can be measured, then volume also can be measured, area can be measured, etc. Now, depending upon the magnitude, means value, and direction, there are two types of physical quantities. These are known as scalar quantities and vector quantities. Physical quantity. It is of two types. One is scalar quantity and another is vector quantity. Scalar quantity has only magnitude, means value, and no direction. Vector quantity has both magnitude and direction. Length, mass, time, volume, all are scalar quantities, and force, velocity, displacement, momentum, all are vector quantities. At this standard, you should not bother about scalar and vector quantities. You will get to know in detail about scalar and vector quantity in class 11. One chapter is there on scalar and vector quantity. Now we are going to talk about different types of motion. First one is translatory motion. Second one is rotatory motion. Third one is vibratory or oscillatory motion. Fourth one is complex motion. Now, what is translatory motion? Translatory motion is also having two parts. One is rectilinear motion another is curvilinear motion. In rectilinear motion, objects are found in moving along a straight path. Okay, say car is moving along a straight path. It is an example of rectilinear motion. In curvilinear motion, objects are found to move along a curved path. Suppose motion of a car while taking a sharp turn on a road. Here objects are found to rotate about an axis, just like rotation of our earth, due to which day and night occurs. Okay. Now vibratory motion or oscillatory motion. In this case, objects are found to retrace its own path repeatedly. Means any back and forth motion or to and fro motion will be known as vibratory motion. If we consider a simple pendulum and if we are going to shift the bob of the simple pendulum from point A to point B and then we release the bob, what will happen? On releasing the bob at point B, it will again come back to its initial position A. This will be known as equilibrium position. Equilibrium position or mean position. Mean position. After coming to this position, the bob will not come to at rest because of the tendency of motion. The bob will go on moving until it reaches the point C. So in this case, the motion performed by the simple pendulum is the case of oscillatory motion. Now complex motion. In some cases, objects are found to perform two or more than two motions. Okay, so in this case, the motion performed by the object will be known as complex motion. So in this case, the ball will perform two kinds of motion. One is rotation about its axis passing through its center, and another is translation in the forward direction. So both translation and rotations are there, and as the motion performed by the rolling ball will be the complex motion. Okay. In case of a moving object, distance is the total length of the path traversed by it, irrespective of the nature of the path. The path may be straight, the path may be curved, whatever it is. We have to find out the total length of the actual path covered by that object. And the measurement of the total length of the actual path will be known as distance of that very object. Okay? Now, I am writing the definition of distance. The total length of actual path covered by any moving object is known as its distance. Okay, so it is a physical quantity because it can be measured, and since it is measurable, after measurement we need to express the result. In order to express the result, we have to choose proper unit, because without unit measurement is meaningless. If we don't use proper unit against the value, then that measurement will not carry any meaning to the listener. Suppose I am telling the distance covered by a body is 1 what? 1 meter or 1 kilometer or 1 centimeter. So we have to tell either 1 meter. So we have to tell distance covered by a body is either 1 meter or 1 kilometer or 1 centimeter, like this. Okay, you have to remember one thing. There are 3 unit systems in physics. First one is CGS, means centimeter gram second unit system. Second one is FPS unit system. FPS means foot pound second. Third one is MKS. MKS, meter kilogram second, commonly known as SI unit system. Commonly known as what? SI unit system. So out of these 3 unit systems, nowadays second unit system is out of the syllabus. So here CGS means centimeter gram second. This centimeter comes as the unit of length, then this gram comes as the unit of mass, and this second S comes as the unit of time. Here also M means meter. Meter comes as the unit of length. Kilogram, K for kilogram. Kilogram comes as the unit of mass, and S for second. Second comes here as the unit of time. So in CGS unit system, what will be the unit of distance? Because since distance is a length, we have to choose here CGS unit of distance is centimeter. And MKS unit, that is SI unit of distance is what? Meter. Understood? Now we are going to explain distance of a moving object. Suppose a body starts its motion from A, it reaches the point B along this path, say path 1, and finally it goes to point C following path 2. Now if you are asked to write what is the distance traveled by this body during its motion, your answer should be distance is equal to total length of actual path traversed by the body. Here you can see two paths are present in the complete journey. So length of the first path will be AB and that of the second path will be BC. So AB plus BC unit will be the total length of the path. That is the distance of the moving object. Okay. Now in one numerical, suppose you have been asked a body performs motion along a circular path and it starts its journey from point A. Suppose 1 meter be the radius of that very circular path. Okay. Now we are going to talk about displacement. Displacement is what? Displacement is the length of the shortest path. Length of the shortest path between the initial and the final position of a moving object. What I have said? It is the length of the shortest path connecting the initial and final positions of any moving object. Suppose a body starts its journey from point A and it reaches the point B after a certain time and finally it completes its journey after reaching the point C. So what is the initial point? Its initial point or starting point is A and the final point is C. And the final point is C. Okay. Now displacement is the length of the shortest path. Length of the shortest path connecting the initial point and final point. So what will be the length of the shortest path? This is the length of the shortest path. So AC is what? AC is the displacement. So here displacement will be, displacement of the body will be AC unit. Okay. Displacement of the body will be AC unit. Now you see, now you have to remember one thing. You cannot find the shortest path in any ways. You cannot find the shortest path as per your sweet will. Now you cannot measure the shortest path as per your sweet will. Okay, there is a specific direction along which you have to measure the distance so that it becomes minimum. If you consider this path, you will not get the shortest one. If you are considering this path, you will also not get the shortest distance. You have to move along the specific direction, that is AC, straight line connecting the initial point and the final point. That means displacement has a specific direction. Displacement has a specific direction along with its magnitude. Magnitude is what? This will be magnitude AC. This value will be the magnitude. Say after calculation it is coming 4 meter. Say after calculation it is AC is coming 4. See, this 4 is the magnitude and direction will be from A to C. Direction will be from A to C. That's why displacement is known as a vector quantity, because displacement has both magnitude and direction. Since displacement is measurable, means since displacement is a physical quantity, here also we need to use proper unit to express displacement. Okay. Now what will be the unit of displacement? Just like distance, displacement is a special kind of length, that is the length of the shortest path. So the unit of distance and displacement both are equal. CGS unit of displacement is centimeter and SI unit of displacement is meter. CGS unit of displacement is what? CGS unit is centimeter and SI unit is meter. Okay. We are going to explain one very important question that usually comes in the exam. Prove that for any moving body, distance is greater or equal to magnitude of displacement. Now you can ask me, sir, why you have written here magnitude of displacement? Because distance is a scalar quantity, displacement is a vector quantity, means it has both magnitude and direction. But here it has only magnitude. So a scalar quantity cannot be compared with a vector quantity. That's why, considering magnitude only, magnitude of displacement, we are considering the value of displacement. Means we are not considering the direction of displacement. So in this case, distance and displacement both are comparable. If you look at this inequation symbol, there are two relations. One is greater than, another is equal to. So we will prove this part by part. In the first part, we will show distance is equal to magnitude of displacement, and in the second part, we will show distance is greater than magnitude of displacement. Okay? So there are two possible cases. You remember, first part. We consider that the body is performing its motion along a straight path. We suppose A as the initial point. From point A, body has started its journey and reaches the point B. So B is the final point. Now you let me know. Now you tell me what is the distance. Distance is what? Distance is the length of the actual path. The length of the actual path is AB. Again, magnitude of displacement. Magnitude means value of displacement. Also come AB. Therefore, we can write distance is equal to magnitude of displacement. Give it equation number 1. Now, second part of this answer you will get if you consider the journey of the body like this. Suppose the body reaches the point B after a certain time, and A is the starting point. Finally, it completes its journey reaching the point C. So here in this case, distance will be what? Distance will be length of actual path AB plus BC, and magnitude of displacement, magnitude of displacement will be what? Magnitude of displacement will be this one, AC. This angle is 90 degree and this is a right angle triangle. and you know the sum of any two sides of a right angle triangle is more than that of the third side. So what we can write from the property of right angle triangle, we can write AB plus BC is greater than AC. Now what is AB plus BC? AB plus BC is what? Distance. And AC is what? AC is magnitude of displacement. So from here we are getting distance is greater than magnitude of displacement. Okay, give it equation number 2. If you combine equation 1 and 2, what you will get? Combining equations 1 and 2, we get distance is greater or equal to magnitude of displacement. Hence proved. Understood? Now we are going to discuss the difference between distance and displacement. Okay. So what will be the first point? First point will be the definition of distance and displacement. So here only we have to write definition. It is the measure of total length of actual path traversed by any moving body. And what will be the displacement? It is the length of the shortest path connecting the initial and the final points. Second point will be, since distance has only magnitude and no direction, so it is a scalar quantity, and here displacement is a vector quantity because it has both magnitude and direction. Number 3, distance of a moving object is always positive. Displacement of any moving object can be positive, negative, as well as 0. So under what situation displacement of a moving object will be positive? Suppose this direction is considered as positive x-axis and this is the origin. This direction will be negative x-axis, isn't it? Negative x-axis. Suppose the body starts its journey from point O and it reaches the point A. So here displacement takes place towards positive x-axis. So in this case displacement will be positive. Suppose after reaching the point A, the body takes the about turn and comes back to the initial position O. So what will be the separation between the initial point and the final point? since both initial and final point are at the same position, we can say that the separation between the initial and final position is 0, and in this case the displacement will come 0. Now if the body keep on moving towards left after crossing the initial point, and it reaches the point B, so what will be the separation between the final point and the initial point? This one, and this separation is lying towards the negative x-axis, so in this case the displacement is coming negative. Okay, I hope you people have understood this. Fourth point, distance of any moving object depends on the shape of the trajectory. That is, for fixed initial and final points, distance of a moving object can change on changing the path. Suppose A is the initial point and B is the final point, and there are two possible paths. One is path 1, another is path 2. For path 1 distance will be less, and for path 2 distance will be more, because this path is showing bending, so length of this path will be more than as compared to path 1. So in this way we can explain that for two initial and final positions, distance of a moving object are different. Here displacement of any moving object does not depend on the trajectory. That is, for fixed initial and final points, displacement remains same. In this question, we have been asked to find distance and displacement, and here O is the initial point and C is the final point. So here distance will be what? Distance equal to total length of the actual path. Now in this numerical, you have to think it very carefully. C is the final point. Before C, what is the alphabet? B. So before C, what will be the position of the particle? B. Starting from this point O, it will come to the point A. After that, it will go to point B, and again crossing the point A, it will complete its journey at point C. So total distance will be what? Total distance will be from O, it will come to the point A, and then it will go to point B, that is OA plus AB. After that, from point B, it will come back to C. That means OA plus AB plus BC. This will be the total length of the actual path traveled by the body during its, or traveled by the particle during its complete journey. Now, what is OA? OA is 20 and the unit is meter. 20 meter. What is AB? AB will be this much. That means it is 10 meter. And what is BC? BC will be this much. It will be what? 5 plus 5, 10, 10 plus 5, 15, 15 plus 5, 20. This gap is showing 20 meter, this one. 20 meter. You just check it out whether it is coming 20 meter or not. So after calculation, what we are getting? 20 plus 10, 30, 30 plus 20, 50 meter. So 50 meter is the total distance. Now displacement will be what? Displacement is length of the shortest path connecting the initial and final positions. Now what was the initial position O? Now what is the final position C? So displacement will be OC. What is OC? OC is 10 meter. 10 meter. And what will be the direction of displacement? Along positive x-axis. Along positive x-axis. That is right from O towards C. This will be the direction of displacement. Okay. It is given that a particle is moving in a circular path of radius 20 centimeter. What is given? Radius of the circular path is 20 centimeter. You convert it into meter. 20 by 100 meter. That means 0.2 meter. Now what we have been asked? We have been asked to find distance and displacement of the particle after completion of 1.5 turns. So number of turns, small n is equal to 1.5. For one complete rotation, say this is the initial point. For one complete rotation, the particle comes to its initial position, and for next half rotation it reaches the point B. Now what is B? B is the diametrically opposite point of A. This is the initial position, and this one will be the final position after 1.5 turn. So distance will be what? Distance will be, for one complete rotation, distance will be circumference of the circular path 2 pi r, plus for one complete rotation it will come back to the initial point A, and for next half rotation it will go to point B, and here it will stop its rotation. So from A to B, what is the distance? Circumference by 2. So if the whole distance is 2 pi r, this one will be what? 2 pi r by 2 half. Okay. So after calculation, what we are getting? We are getting 2 pi r plus pi r is equal to 3 pi r. So 3 into 3.14 means the value of pi is 3.14, and what is r? 0.2. So after calculation, what we will get? 3 multiplied by 0.2, it is 0.6 multiplied by 3.14 is equal to 1.884, this much meter. Okay. Now displacement is what? Displacement is the length of the shortest path connecting the starting point and the final point. This is the what? This is the diameter of the circular orbit. This is what? Diameter. There is AB. that is 2 into radius. This is equal to 2 into 0.2. This is the radius. Is equal to 0.4 meter. This is the answer. So in the third question, what we have been given A as the initial point, which is at a distance 4 meter from y-axis, and from point A, particle reaches the point B, and from B it reaches the point C. After that, it completes its journey after reaching the point D. D is the final point. And this distance is 4 meter even, this one is 3 meter, this one is also 3 meter. Now we have been asked to find distance and displacement. So it is very easy to calculate distance. As you all know, distance is what? Total length of the actual path. Here actual path is AB plus BO plus OC plus CD. What is AB? 4 meter. What is BO? 3 meter. What is OC? Again 3 meter. What is CD? 4 meter. So 7 here, here also 7. 7, 7. It will be 14 meter. Now, the calculation of displacement is little bit tricky. So you connect the starting point and the final point. You will get what? Here it is coming 90 degree. Here it is coming 90 degree. So part by part you do calculation. We need to find AD. This is the displacement. Displacement is length of the shortest path connecting the initial point and the final point. This is AD. AD can be calculated as the sum of AO plus OD. Now what is AO? If you look at this right angle triangle, AO is coming as the hypotenuse and AB is coming as perpendicular, BO is coming as base. So what is the formula to find hypotenuse? Hypotenuse square equal to perpendicular square plus base square. I am writing here for triangle ABO. We can write AO square is equal to AB square plus BO square. So AO we are getting as square root of AB square plus BO square. Now what is AB? From here we can see AB is 4 square plus BO is coming 3. 4 square equal to 16, 3 square equal to 9, 16 plus 9, 25. Square root of 25 is equal to 5 meter. So AO is coming 5 meter. So just like this, if you do the calculation for OD, you will also get root over of 3 square plus 4 square means root of base square plus perpendicular square equal to hypotenuse. You will get what? Root over 25 is equal to 5 meter plus 5 meter is equal to 10 meter. This question has been taken from your NCERT book. If you go to page number 100 of your NCERT book, you will get this question as the in-text question. Okay, this is question number 2 of page number 100. Okay, now in this question, what is given? It is given that a farmer is moving along the boundary of a square field of side 10 meter in 40 seconds. After starting from point A, just at the end of 40 seconds, the farmer reaches the point A again, once going through the boundary of the square field. Okay, so we can write in 40 seconds total number of rotation along the boundary of square field is equal to 1. In 1 second total number of rotation will be 1 by 40, and what is the total time here given? 2 minutes 20 seconds. For 2 minutes we will get what? 120 seconds, and for 20 seconds we will get total 140 seconds. So in 140 seconds total number of rotations will be 140 by 40, 0 0 gone, 2 here 7, so it will be 3.5 turns. Means after 3 complete journey along the perimeter of the square field, the farmer will be coming at the starting point A. So 3 rotations gone, and remaining half turn, what will happen? The farmer will go from A to B, and finally he will complete his journey after reaching the point C. Because if this is the complete journey, the half journey will be A to C. Understood? So this one will be the final position of the farmer at the end of 2 minutes 20 seconds. And this is the initial position. Okay, so you have been asked to find displacement. So displacement will be what? Displacement is equal to diagonal of the square field, this diagonal, because we have to find out the length of the shortest path connecting the initial point and the final point. So this will be AC, and AC is what? If we consider here right angle, AC will be the, for this triangle ABC, AC will be the what? Hypotenuse. So you know hypotenuse equal to root over or square root of AB square, means perpendicular square, plus AC will come, and for this triangle ABC, AC is what? AC is the hypotenuse. So we can use the formula AC equal to root over of AB square plus BC square, means hypotenuse equal to square root of perpendicular square plus base square. So put the values of AB and BC here. AB is equal to 10, BC is also 10, because it is the square field. So we will get what? 100 plus 100, it will be 200. From here what we will get? 10 root 2, and the value of root 2 is 1.414. So after calculation what we will get? 14.14 meter. So this is the displacement of the farmer at the end of 2 minutes 20 seconds. In this question, it is given that a body is sliding down an inclined surface of base 3 meter and stops at the bottom of it. So we are going to consider one inclined surface. This is the inclined surface. A, B is the inclined surface. BC is the base of the inclined surface. Okay, base is given 3 meter, and the body is sliding down from the top of the inclined surface, and it stops right at the point B. It stops. Okay, so this will be the starting point. Now, what is the another information given? If its displacement be 5 meter, displacement will be this one. AB will be the displacement, because displacement is the length of the shortest path connecting the starting point and the final point. What we need to find? Find the height of the inclined surface. AC is the height. This one we need to find. Okay. So this angle is 90 degree. So from right angle triangle ABC, we can write hypotenuse square is equal to perpendicular square plus base square. What is AB? AB is 5 square. AC is H we need to find out. And what is base? 3 square. So H square we are getting 5 square minus 3 square. So it will be 25 minus 9, that is equal to 16. H equal to square root of 16 implies 4. That means height of the inclined surface will be 4 meter. See, this is the last numerical of our today's lecture. The solution of this numerical I will not provide you. What you have to do? You have to solve it at your home and you have to tell me the result of this numerical in the comment box. So I hope whatever I have discussed so far, you people have understood. Still, if you are having any doubt, feel free to ask me any question in the comment box. Thank you.